Hey guys, what's up? I'm Bill Siziwa. I'm Managing Director of Kailako Properties, as well as a guest speaker here at Zap Talks. Our company specializes in design and construction of all residential, commercial, as well as industrial buildings in South Africa. We specialize in the architectural design. We deliver very competent architectural drawings that get taken to council, municipalities, local municipalities, as well as construction drawings which get used by builders to get all those beautiful homes and beautiful structures that you guys get to see and celebrate. We operate mainly in Johannesburg, and our reach is regional all over the country, from Cape Town all the way to Johannesburg, and we've done some international projects as well. So the big question today is, what is the real cost of building, whether in an estate or whether in a freehold stand? Now, today we're going to be diving in deep into freehold stands. And there's a common misconception that it's okay for you to extend your home as long as council has your drawings. But in actual fact, any change that you want to make on a particular building that you own, you have to submit those drawings to council. So let's talk about new builds. Let's say you've bought yourself a new stand and you're celebrating this great victory because everyone says, what? Buy land, buy land, buy land, right? But nobody is really conscious of all the costs that are involved in getting to that place where you finally got your structure up and it's built and you can move into your home. So the first step, let's assume you've bought your stand, you've just gotten your title deed, and if you're fortunate enough, you've paid it off in cash, right? In big cities, major cities like Johannesburg and Pretoria, you will find that the cost of stands, the cost of land is within the millions. And if you go to more your smaller towns in the outskirts of Johannesburg, you find that land is a lot cheaper because why? It's less in demand. Now, given the fact that you, the lucky one, has bought your stand cash, you're now faced with the cost of what is it going to take to finally get this vision from your head onto the ground. Now, there's about 2 or 3 professionals that you need to help you in the process of getting your home built. The first one is an architect. Now, an architect is somebody who has an entire design team that is competent to put together all the drawings, technical drawings, as well as the visuals for you to see what this idea, this plan, this 5-bedroom home with 6 bathrooms and 2 kitchens, that whole vision is what the architect's job is to illustrate to you. Now, it puts together a team of designers, interior designers, as well as technicians to help detail every aspect of this home. These professionals generally charge anything from 150 Rand per square meter on the lower end to around 300 Rand per square meter on the more high-end residential. Now, when it comes to getting your plans approved, it's the architect that submits these drawings to council. It can take anything from a month to 3 months on the minimum for you to get your plans approved. Systems have changed nowadays where you actually can submit online, but not all municipalities have caught on to the new trend. The second professional that you most likely need when it comes to getting your vision fully realized is a quantity surveyor. Now, quantity surveyors are your accountants of the building industry. They're the guys who make sure that they account for every material, every tile, every finishing component that makes up your building will be run through them. They run that through their systems, and they cost each and everything per square meter, per cubic meter, whatever it is that's going into your building. The quantity surveyor is the person that gets it all on paper, so you know your cost. The third person that you're going to need is your building contractor. Now, building contractor is not a designer and he's not a coster. And I've seen a lot of people skip the first 2 and go straight to a building contractor to get them a design, to get a costing, so that they just focus on building this. You see, the biggest mistake you can make is thinking that you're saving money by not paying the first 2, but it might be the biggest cost that you face outside of bricks and cement. Builders are there to interpret drawings done by professional architects or draftsmen. They're the ones that ensure that this thing gets built to the right detail and the right spec. They are not even costers. They may be the guys that order the material once the project manager pays them, but they cannot cost a building just from looking at plans. I've seen many people make mistakes by costing it with builders and end up in financial ruin because they now have to fork out so much money towards the end of the project when they can't afford the windows, they can't afford the roof tiles that they thought they were going to get, and a lot of those costs end up becoming absorbed in unforeseen expenses. So these three professionals, they normally do work as a team, but not in every case. In some cases, it's up to you as a client to find your own quantity surveyor, your own architect, and your own builders. With Kyalako Properties, we do things a little bit differently. We have a full turnkey system where we have your architects, your contractors, and project managers, as well as your costing gets done all in-house. Now, let's run you through some of the unforeseen expenses that you can have outside of the three professional fees that you have to pay. When it comes to registering your building, there's a body called NHBRC, it's the National Home Builders Association, which is based in Johannesburg. They're responsible for everything. Every residential home that gets built needs to be registered with them. They require from you your approved plans, and there is a payment that's needed to be made prior to building your building. All right. So this can range from anything between 5,000 to 20,000 rand to register your home with the NHBRC. Now, this is an expense that you need to pay, of which only once your building is enrolled are you then permitted to build. They need to see the contract for the builder, the approved plans, as well as your payment, your proof of payment, in order for them to enroll. That means your builder needs to be registered with NHBRC. If they're not registered with NHBRC, they're not recognized as an official within that body, and they will not allow you to build with that particular contractor. So please ensure that your contractor is registered with the NHBRC. The other body which manages all architecture planning is called SACAP. That's the South African Council for Architectural Professionals. So also ensure that your architect is registered. If they're not, you're going to waste a lot of money going back to resubmit your plans and most likely redesign with a different architect who is registered. Now, other costs that you might incur are transfer duties for the transfer of your land into your name. But given the fact that you most likely have paid for all of that, the nice thing is that you can now build. Now, a project manager is someone who is normally part of a contracting team, but not always. So just know that if you are dealing with a building contractor who doesn't have a full scope team, you might be the one to end up managing your project. That means you need to manage all supply of material on site, because you may think you've got a great bricklayer who can build this house for cheap, but without a project manager, it means that you need to keep your eyes on that material. You need to order it in time, because if there's ever a delay, for instance, if there's a delay of material arriving on site on time, that's now a cost on you, because all your laborers will show up. But if they're showing up just to chill and not do any work, that's a cost on you, because they expect to be paid for the days that they're on site. So a project manager handles such thing, handles timeline. If there's no need for builders to be on site on a particular day, they will ensure that they are not on site on those days. For instance, when we cast slabs, your builders might not be on site for at least 3 to 4 days, depending on the type of slab that's been cast. So all these expenses are necessary to be thought of as well as strategized for. Now, we've talked about big cities. In your more rural areas, you'll find that there's bigger opportunity. Remember, there's less demand in rural areas. Most people are trying to gravitate to cities for closer access to better schools, medical care, as well as a better lifestyle, right? So rural areas are not as developed as cities are. Therefore, people aren't really gravitating to that. But remember, where people aren't, sometimes there is opportunities for you to actually purchase land cheaper. Like your land in KZN and certain areas in the Eastern Cape, which is owned by chiefs, you can actually gain access to such land for much cheaper. For a price of 5,000 to 20,000 in some cases, you can get at least 1 hectare of land to build your dream home. So being confined to the city is not always the best idea. See what's suitable for you. If you're, let's say, somebody who makes money online. Is there really a reason for you to live in a big city? Perhaps for networking, but if I have a good online income and I can live very cheap in the rural areas and start developing the neighborhoods there, buying as much land as I can, building homes, right? I'm then skipping the whole transfer duties. I'm skipping the whole tax that I have to pay for rates and taxes in the big cities, as well as just the expense of the land. And I'm putting that back into the actual building. Most likely in the rural areas, you might have time to manage that project yourself if you're someone who is smart enough to do so, and have a smaller, tighter team, so you're keeping your expenses a lot tighter. So it's a lot cheaper than your freehold stand, as well as much cheaper than an estate where you've got all these fees and penalties that you have to pay in this restricted timeline. You can take your time in the village, you can develop the homes, you can customize it to be to the taste of the people around them. Maybe people there need solar, or they need boreholes, or they need enough land to, create kraals in their particular spots of land. So it gives you the opportunity, much like Jewish people have done in the past, where they've built community from buying cheap land and cheap properties. You could have this opportunity right now in 2026 to do the same and call yourself a developer at the end of the day. So guys, I hope you learned something. And for more information, feel free to follow us on all our social media channels. We are Kailaka Properties. My name is Bill Siziba. I'm a professional architect as well as a property developer. I encourage you all to go the right steps in building your property and make sure you're well informed. Follow us for more.
Top hop, yeah, boy, let's go. One hop, one place, now your business grow.